Yes, yes, yes. This is FTB Sports Boxing, and guess what? It's myself, Amwandi Juma, here with my little bro Kahinde, and we're going to be doing a preview of the Wilder versus Fury fight, part 3, isn't it? Part 3.
Yep.
So, welcome to the show, everyone. There's going to be an intro. We're just going to go into some barbershop boxing chat, and we don't claim to be experts, but our father was a heavyweight boxer. We love boxing. I boxed a bit as a youngster, you know, and I know my brother's boxed a bit as well. You quite recently, weren't you? You were boxing.
Yeah. The last 3 years I've been boxing.
Yeah.
You know.
But the thing is, like the Klitschko brothers, we never really box each other. So anyone calling for a fight between us two, it ain't gonna happen. I've done boxing up as a child, you know. So leave it as that. So how are you today, bro? You right?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. How you doing?
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I mean, it's last few weeks we've had AJ versus Usyk at heavyweight, and I'm not trying to boast up, but I did see that coming. I predicted that it would go the distance, and I thought Usyk would win. But I also thought that AJ would get the decision; it would be a robbery. But he did. He done it quite convincingly, so they couldn't dare try to rob him. What did you think of that fight?
I just thought AJ looked a bit lost. I think he's caught in two minds about what he wants to be. I think all this is from the Ruiz fight when he lost. You know, he's tried to change up his style because I think people were criticizing him, saying he couldn't box. That's why he lost, which is probably partly true. He didn't know how to box a style that, you know, a pressure fighter. Wasn't really comfortable with that. And he changed up his style for the second fight, did what he needs to do. But, you know, if you do that against Ruiz, he hasn't got great footwork, you know, you should get the win if you're cautious.
Yeah. I also think Ruiz done a Duran against Sugar Ray Leonard and he got his win.
You know,
he didn't seem that bothered.
Wasn't motivated. You know, he made history for Mexico and everything.
Yeah.
That was it, really. And I just think for Usyk, you can't employ the same type of tactics because this guy is a masterful boxer.
Yeah.
You know? And, I just think he employed the wrong strategy. I don't know who told him to box like that. Was it McCracken? Was it himself? Was it his ego?
Yeah.
I don't know. But
do you remember we went to York Hall to watch James Toney? Yeah. And AJ was actually fighting as one of AJ's early fights.
Yeah.
See him live, didn't we?
Yeah, he was punching through the guy, wasn't he?
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? And I think when you get brought up like that and you're punching through, like someone can have his guard up and you can just punch through them.
Yeah.
Pure strength. What's the point in learning his skill? You get an ego, don't you? Then you go around fist pumping us in the backstage, you know. That did, but I mean, we saw James Toney that night, who's a master of boxing, and we also saw AJ, who just punched through the target and got the guy out there. You know, no one could really live with him. But unfortunately, he was sort of fast tracked, wasn't he? He's never really learned his trade, even though he might be an Olympic champion. In his case, I don't think it necessarily means that he's a great skilled boxer. It was at home in London. He got a good decision against the Cuban. He got a good decision in the final. It was quite disputed, but he's done well with the lack of talent or lack of experience he had. And I think sometimes being the home fighter with all the money behind him, I mean, to fill stadiums like that, he's kind of like protected. So when he came out of his comfort zone and went to America, he seemed a bit anxious out there, and obviously he lost to Ruiz. But what do you think about, like, we're going to talk about a lot of things. What do you think about AJ's mindset? Because we watched the Klitschko fight when he beats Klitschko, and that was a bit of a war. And people look back and say, well, for me, for example, I thought he lost the first few rounds. He's getting an old man. And then the only time he really won the fight is when he really went for it. Otherwise, he's blowing out his ass. So the only time he really went for it was in the 5th round, I think, when he knocked down Vlad, and with an accumulation of punches. And then he's blown. By the end of that same round, he was nearly dying for breath, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's true. And he had to take the next 3-4 rounds off before he could have a flurry, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And then other flurry came and he managed to get him out of there. But
and everyone said Vlad let him off the hook that fight. Even Vitali was like, you know, he should have just gone for the knockout. Really,
Yeah.
Vlad probably felt in control. He probably wasn't expecting that last burst from AJ. You know,
so that's what done me, because I felt with AJ after that fight. Do you remember we were talking? I was saying to you that I felt that his ego was wrong because the way he reacted to getting knocked down for the first time.
Yeah,
I felt he reacted all wrong. I thought he should have accepted that he got done, because I think Vladimir was setting him up to go with a right hand and he was setting up with the left hook and then ended up going with the right hand, and he fell for it. Yeah. And I don't like. So
well, I think partly the reason, because that the first 4 rounds of that fight, it was like almost like a chess match, and AJ was like trying not to go out of his guard and everything, you know, and it was very tense 4 rounds. And I think AJ got really uncomfortable with the rhythm of the fight, the way it was going. So that's why in the 5th round he decided, F it, I'm just gonna blow him out and see what happens. Yeah, and he knocked him down. But after he knocked him down, he was so tired that he couldn't really keep his defense no more.
Yeah.
And Vlad was just slowly just getting back in. And Vlad was setting him up with that one from the first round, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Vlad was opening the rounds, hitting him flush with a right hand every time.
Yeah. And I feel like he nearly got stopped the same round that he knocked Vlad down in.
When have you ever seen that happen? I mean,
I know. So this is what I'm saying. You've got a
so the point is, there's been a lot of vulnerabilities with him, but he's been built up like this super champ. I mean, he's got a great build. Who knows how he get a build like that? We're sort of similar size to him, and we know how hard it is to sort of maintain that sort of conditioning. You know, I mean, you know me, about 5-6 years ago, I was in that sort of shape, but let's not call it like that. But that was all natural. But and I've seen you in some great shape as well, with your size and everything else.
On the beach,
yeah. You frame that picture now. So we know how hard it is to maintain that sort of physique and everything else. So maybe he's got some super supplements or whatever's going on with him. But I don't think one mistake he made was not learning his craft. And I think Lennox Lewis, who actually went on and got better learn, even though he was a 2-time Olympian. He went on and went to a better trainer to develop his skills, and it enhanced him, and he became a great champion because of it. And for him to call Lennox Lewis a clown, I thought that was very disrespectful, distasteful, and showed a lack of knowledge. I think he should have left, moved on and tried another trainer a long time ago, because it's clear to me that his skill set wasn't that great. And now we're seeing he's getting exposed. He's not very good at his punch resistance ain't good. I don't know what you think about that, but that's just my take on AJ.
I don't want to press him too much. And I think going into that Vlad fight, I had AJ as favorite. I thought AJ had the power to knock him out, and because Vlad wasn't always comfortable under pressure.
Yeah,
and I knew AJ probably had a little bit of confidence as well, because he sparred a lot with Vladimir.
Right.
And he probably knew him. I felt that he had some confidence going in. The first 15 fights of AJ, he looked formidable. It was like, wow, how's anyone going to beat this guy? No one's seen a guy that built and that powerful, like combos and everything. And
not since you at the beach.
Even out of the wraps, but I mean, just even when he got knocked down by Vladimir, I was like, wow, it was like, because you get it into your head that this guy is invincible, and it just shows you the levels to boxing, doesn't it? Really, how he could look great when we watched him at York Halls, punching through guys, and then.
Well, there was always that issue there. We saw it in the Olympics as well, with the Cuban and a few dodgy decisions as well. So the skill set wasn't exactly the best. And for him to reject that from Lennox Lewis and take that advice, everything else, that's why I think it's been a downfall. I think when you get, I'm not saying he's a yes man, but he's making a lot of money for people, and sort of getting through these fights. Even Povetkin looked a bit tasty against him early on. If Takam looked a bit tasty against him, there's a few things there where I thought, okay, he's still a bit vulnerable. But so the Usyk fight, Usyk is super. As we just said, we're going to move on now to the fight tomorrow. But Usyk is stepped up from cruiserweight. He was a great amateur, as you said, Olympian as well in 2012. Now he stepped up to heavyweight. People doubted him because maybe he hustled everyone by not looking so great in his fight with a spoon and Chisora.
And
no one really, most of the media, most of the so-called experts thought that AJ would be able to walk through him, but he didn't. It didn't happen like that. He was outboxed and almost stopped at the end when he stopped the fight with a few seconds to go.
Yeah.
But anyway, so right now AJ is no longer champion. Usyk is holding 3 of the other 4. I think 4 of the belts, is it? And now we move on to tomorrow's fight, which is like 3 years in the making. I think the first fight was 2018 maybe, and then they've had the draw, and then we had the second fight, and now finally. So you see what I mean? If you're a contender, how are you going to get belts when these guys are tied up? And I know you get COVID and all that, but things. So I'm going to start with you, bro. Tell me, like, it's Deontay Wilder against Tyson Fury, and we were saying before the show that the 4 guys, AJ, Usyk, Wilder, and Fury, the top 4 guys possibly. What do you think about? Let me start with Deontay Wilder. What do you think about Deontay Wilder as a fighter and his achievements so far in his career?
Well, like AJ, I think he started boxing quite late. Technically, like, I don't think he's all that sound. I don't, but he got a bronze in the Olympics, which isn't bad. But again, it's just that the power that he's got is, it's formidable, and no one's really seen anything like that. The way he's knocking guys out like cold,
Yeah.
And that just kind of makes up for his lack of boxing skills. I mean, he's decent a boxer. He can be. The one time that I did see him box well was the first Stefan fight.
That's the first time he went the distance, eh?
Yeah, and he was just boxing and doing what he had to do. And I don't know, apparently he didn't go for the knockout because he had the injury, but you could see.
I'm sure he would have loved to have got a knockout. I can't.
Well, he did the second time. He showed him in it, really. But, that's the only time I've really seen him box properly. But other than that, coming up, I just think anyone who goes up against him, you can't just rule out Wilder completely. Even after this, Fury beat him the second time. I think Fury beat him both times. I'm still tomorrow think Wilder's got a chance because of that.
Yeah.
So,
and he's to be fair, he's really fast. He throws fast punches.
I think really that the thing with Wilder is, even before AJ lost, I've always thought Wilder's the only one capable of beating Fury because the way he throws his punches is just like from wild angles. It's just like you don't really know where it's coming from because his technique is AJ's technique is like boof, 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 boof. And by the time he done something like that, Fury could work something like that out. You could able to calculate like these punches and ride them. But Wilder, like the way he swings a punch, that one he couldn't find Fury all night, and then in the 12th, he got him down.
Yeah, so, I think he dropped him in the 9th as well.
Yeah. But when Fury's down like this, but the one Fury didn't see coming, that one in the 12th.
Yeah.
And I think he changed it up where he was going high all night, and then I think he hit it a bit low. But it's the way he throws punches. That's the only time that you could beat Fury, I think, anyway, because AJ hasn't got that skill level where Fury could just easily neutralize him. If Lads couldn't, get Fury, if someone's hit him.
So what do you think? So you're saying Wilder? Would you say Wilder's best win was against Stavern? Then is that what you're saying?
I'd say Luis Ortiz because of the caliber of Luis Ortiz, and he's had a great Cuban background, amateur background, and
but we don't know. I mean, Luis Ortiz's best win is probably Wilder's trainer right now, isn't it?
Alex Scott,
Alex Scott. I can't think who else he's beaten. He beat the boy, the guy.
He hasn't.
Dave Allen,
Saying that, there's a lot of fighters that haven't wanted to fight him for a reason, Well, I think it was more of a like.
So, do you think he was a legit proper threat then? Do you reckon? But by beating Dave Allen, by beating the trainer, because you say that's the best win.
It's hard to say when you look at the resume. It's really hard to say, but
because you know what is my issue is this with Wilder. bronze bomb or whatever. So let me just break it down for how I see things with Wilder. He's got a lot of limitations. I think I've seen him knocked out in the amateurs by short Russian guys and all kind of things. So it's a bit vulnerable. And the way they paced him with his career, obviously he's knocking out all these guys, but he's not fighting anybody of any note. And it was up until he fought Stavern. He hadn't really beat anyone and I'm thinking, well, they're really taking their time with this guy. And then once to beat Stavern for the WBC, it was a vacant title. I think, come on, there must be someone better than Stavern to go out there and take. And but maybe no, I think maybe Stavern was champion. I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember. No, Stavern beat
my issue was guy. Vitali retired. They put Stavern against the Mexican guy.
The American and Mexican.
Ariola.
Chris Ariola. Yeah, that's right.
Number one contenders, and I was like,
how did that happen?
It was so set up, And,
that's what I mean.
He beat him twice or something, He beat him before, but then the second time was for the title. So and did anyone know who Stavern was, really? Did anyone know much about him?
No, maybe casual boxing fans wouldn't know who he is, but he's known in
so paper champ. Everyone was just calling him a paper champion.
Yeah, and so that's what I mean. It's like he's been spoon-fed the title and getting a shot against Stavern and everything. So, all right, great. You won the title against Stavern. You haven't beaten anyone prior to this. It's your major step up, even though it's not step up in real terms, of what's going on. This is 2015, I think. Yeah. And then I'm thinking, all right, Vlad's the champ.
Yeah, he had all the votes.
Yeah, Vlad's the champ. You want to unify. If you want to unify, go for Vlad. But he didn't. His management team decided not to. He's obviously trained in Vlad's camp.
And I heard he got bust up by Vlad.
Exactly, I heard the same thing. So maybe, so I understand. All right, maybe you're not ready for Vlad, but just admit it. You're not, things. So talking about there's no talk. Even his manager, when no mention of Vlad or unifying the title or anything like that. But the number one contender was Povetkin. Yeah, and I thought, oh God, this is a major test then for Wilder. And they lost the purse and they had to go to Russia to fight him. And then the fight got called off because Povetkin tested positive for something. And I'm thinking, wow, in Russia, home fighter is going to test positive for something? That's a bit thing. So I think Wilder's got away with something there because I think Povetkin, with his style, could have really got inside him and really, it went to the body and given a few combinations and everything. Would have been a tough fight. I actually felt at the time it was going to be a tough fight for Wilder. So Wilder's had a good run, and but I'm not fooled by his record. I'm not fooled by his the people that have been set up to fight him. And as soon as he comes up against, obviously, Ortiz, when you really question it, Ortiz, they could say he's old, whatever. He's credible. He was credible, to be fair. And he did knock him out. I mean, that twice as well. Yeah. So I have to give him credit. And he was in trouble one round, wasn't he? He was in trouble in the first fight. Ortiz set him up and got to him. But so Wilder's resume is a bit questionable. But like you said, he's got the danger. And I'm just going to go here to a comment here from Andre. And you know Andre, don't you?
I know a few Andres.
Hi, Andre. My bridging Andre. Dre. Yeah. Let's tell it. He says Wilder always has a puncher's chance, but Fury will school him in his opinion. Big up, bros. Yeah, big up to you too, brother. Long time. But yeah, so the first time he fights Fury, I think this is gonna be good. This will be good, gonna be good. And the problem is AJ weren't looking to fight Wilder even. I actually think the bads with this in Wilder, I think Wilder could have got into AJ's head and really put it on him, with all this bomb squad and hype and everything else. I think that could intimidate AJ, and I thought that would have been a good fight at the time, but obviously we're not going to get that anymore. So first fight happens. We know what happened with Fury. He won a title against Vladimir when Wilder wouldn't go there in 2015. Then he went off the boil. Whatever happened to him, issues about performance out of drugs, maybe to cut. Then went on to the bender, a major bender, put on loads of weight, maybe to cover things up. He's come back. He was banned from the BBC. Maybe that year he didn't get Sports Person of the Year because they shamed him up for something he said about the Bible, this kind of thing to do with the end of the world. I'm not going to get into that, but they shunned him, and I thought that was a bit disappointing. And he's gone. He's went into the dark side. He went on his face, and he's come back. And it's a great story. And he's fighting depression. Now he's the people's champ, and he's come back. And even when to lose all that weight and come back and fight Wilder like that, I thought, wow, you're crazy. And but that's what happened. And what do you think of the first fight? Coming back from, did he had a couple of warm-ups, didn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't look great.
Yeah.
What do you think of the first fight with Wilder, a confident champion who's knocked everyone out, virtually everyone he fought, against Tyson Fury? He wasn't particularly at his best. What do you think of that fight? I know you've seen it a few times. I have.
Yeah. It was a great fight. I was confident Fury was not going to lose because Fury's not a stupid man. He's very, very smart, very intelligent. He knows the boxing game. I don't think he would put himself in a position if he didn't have any confidence that he would be able to do well. It was good, great statement to come back after a couple of fights and fight a Wilder like that. You know, when AJ and him were being long, I was like a little bit concerned, but I felt like confident that he would do something, get the job done. And watching it was just like, I just expected Fury to outbox him, and I was just thinking, how is Wilder going to land? How's he? And again, it was I was smiling throughout the whole fight because I was like, this is unbelievable for a man to come back like this.
Yeah,
I was thinking about history. I was thinking about when Ali came back too soon against Frazier after being out for 3 years. I was like, not sure about this, but Fury he did what he needed to do, man. And I think had he been fitter and stronger, that might not the second knockdown might not have even happened. He was probably about 65%. Yeah.
I think it's epic, isn't it? I think everyone remembers the second knockdown in the 12th round, and it looked like he was finished. He laid back, and he could have just said, "Oh, F this, I'm not," But he decided to get up, and that's the moment which sort of
that moment's iconic, and I'm sure you regret that happening because I did say to my friend before watching it, I said Fury's got too much character to be knocked out. He's like Muhammad Ali. He's got too much character, and I when he got up, that it just proved a lot to me that even at his worst, against the most fearsome puncher, he gets up like that. So that's why I have every confidence that Fury will get the job done again tomorrow.
What do you think about the result, though, it being a draw? Do you think that's fair? Because a lot of people say the only rounds that Wilder won was the rounds that knocked him down, which is 2 rounds.
Well, at the time,
sure.
When I watched it at the time in my head, I was like, Fury's won every round except the rounds he's been knocked down in. But then I've rewatched it a couple of times since, and I think Wilder won round 2. I gave Wilder round 2. I gave Fury all the other rounds. So if you think I gave Wilder round 2, that's 5 rounds for Wilder, and Fury gets 7, and one of them could have been either way. So maybe a draw was a fair result because you've got to beat the champion convincingly, not just getting up at the 12th round.
Well said, bro. Well said. I totally agree with you. I'm kind of the same when I watched it at the time. Sometimes you're caught up, your heart's racing because you've got like emotional attachment to some fighters, you like them or whatever. And I was always ready for that knockdown. And when he got knocked down in the 9th, up until then, he was doing really well. I was really pleased. I was like, come on, man, you can do this. But he got a bit sloppy. He got in the corner and he got hit. And to see Tyson go down at that, I've never seen him drop before, but I thought, oh, God. But he came back well, won a couple of rounds, and then in the 12th, if that didn't happen, maybe they could have given it to him. But, that was an epic moment. It's just one of those moments that everyone will remember, whoever watched that live.
And Fury even says it set up his strategy for the second fight after being knocked down and then going for him. He was like, actually, this is what we need to do. This guy's backing up.
Yeah.
So, it was.
I actually thought Fury, in his early career, I've seen he's changed, isn't he? We haven't talked on Fury. He spoke about Wilder, but let's talk about Fury now. I think, obviously, when you're 6 foot, he's like, he's like one of these wrestlers who Andre the Giant, 7'4", when really he was Andre was about 6'11". Take 500 pounds. He's probably about 360, 380, something like that. Wilder's not. What's the name? Tyson Fury's not 6'9". I can't. I've seen David Price is taller than him. I see Wilder and him look the same height almost. He's a bit taller than Wilder. Vladimir looks almost as tall as him. He's probably about 6'7", 6'7.5", 6'8". Even Vitali looks taller than him, So that's for starting. But he's obviously talented. I remember he fought David Price in the amateurs. He lost, but he's always had that boxing ability. he's never been a hard puncher, but early in his career, I remember I thought he lost to John McDermott. He was slugging it out with him in the first fight, stopped him in the second fight, but that first fight was questionable. But I thought he was more of a brawler, like I'm gonna put my weight on you, lean on you, that kind of fighter. Initially, that's how he's fighting, but then he suddenly developed, maybe it was always there, but suddenly showed a different side to him. Like the Chisora fight, the second Chisora fight, that he can box too. And he can, if he wanted to, he's not going to get hit. Fighting southpaw, all that kind of thing. So I thought Tyson Fury's really grown on me over the last years. Even when he was going to fight David Haye, I was thinking he's all wrong for David Haye. He's going to maul him, if he really wanted to. So when it gets to the stage where he beats Vladimir Klitschko and outboxes him, and people say it's a boring fight, but I like tactical fights like that. I thought he psychologically psyched him out. That's something we don't appreciate in Fury. His ability to psych people out pre-fight, which means a lot. It does mean a lot. And I thought he fought a dream fight, because at that time Vladimir was like controlling fights, controlling the range, controlling everything, and we having a bigger size and a bit of boxing ability, really put it on, and psychologically put it on Vlad. And that was a major win, probably his best win to date. So I think Fury's done fantastic with his ability. He's almost maximized what he's got. And going into the first Wilder fight, after everything that happened to him, I was a bit dubious. I wasn't sure what to see, but he showed, like you said, heart. But I didn't like the way he fought. I thought he could have just you got to back him up, lean on him, grab him, body, rough him up a bit, which turned out to be the best strategy to win.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't really criticize him because of how long he'd been out. I still felt he didn't look like like I said, he's probably about 65%. Yeah, I don't think he had it in him gears to follow up on the stuff that he was doing. Right. But obviously the second fight and all that, a couple of fights later, he's got stronger. Yeah.
So the second fight, Fury, he's had a few in between fights, fought a couple guys. Let's see. He fought Wallin and Tom Schwartz. And this is in America as well. So he's got a big deal with HBO and all that now. Yeah. So he's come into the second fight of Wilder and completely mauled him and completely was all over him, put him on the back foot. And, yeah, it was a great performance. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and I think he surprised everyone, because everyone was like, you've told Wilder I'm going to walk forward and knock you out. And Wilder's like, you don't believe what you're saying. Yeah. And a lot of people were like, how is Fury going to do this? But, yeah, again, he surprised everyone. He's proved he's maverick. He could adapt to anything. And he's a very smart, intelligent man, because, like we're saying about AJ, should know when the time to change his trainer, change things up. Yeah. As good as relationship Fury had with Ben Davidson, he knew that he needed to change something different, because the second fight could have gone the same way. He could have outboxed him or whatever. Yeah. And, at any point, just like that, he could have been knocked down or knocked out. So he knew he had to do something different to win. And you've got to make decisions like that in boxing. It's not about being loyal. It's about what's best for your career. So, yeah, second fight, I was very, very pleased with his performance. But I thought, when you think about logically, a big man like that, yeah, he is capable of walking a guy down like that, especially a guy who can't fight backing up.
And also to avoid the punches coming his way.
Yeah.
So it's not just about walking someone down, because you're going to get knocked out, walked into a shot. But he was able to hold. He was holding. He was getting inside. He wasn't giving him the range to punch. He was on him all the time. Double jab, feints, that kind of thing. To get inside.
With big punches, I think that's what you've got to do. You've got to kind of walk them down and back them up. And this is what Holyfield's thing with Tyson. He was saying why he wanted to fight him for years. When he sparred with him, he said to everyone, if you back Tyson up, he doesn't know what to do. He's a bully. You've got to back him up. If you go back, you're giving him encouragement.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So that was like the first proper loss for Wilder. He seems a bit shell-shocked by it. It was a major loss. But at first he was complaining about the big armor that he wore in. It was heavy. That made him feel weak. Then he was saying he's got poisoned. Then he was saying that his trainer stitched him up. Then he was saying they didn't check for ham wraps. Then they had a big issue about saying it was quite huge actually. When I've looked at the evidence, and it does seem inconclusive, I'd say, but looks like something maybe was up with Fury's gloves. But if it was conclusive, then they would have obviously done something about it, I reckon. Who knows? What are your thoughts on the issue in the second fight and the first fight about Fury's gloves? And previously as well, there's been times when before fight, I've seen the referees checked his gloves, and there's a bit of, do you think there's any skullduggery going on there?
That'll be very difficult to get away with nowadays. I know that it's happened once or twice in the past with people, and especially margarita and things like that. Anything illegal in your gloves or anything you're not supposed to have or you do have. Yeah. What Fury said, Jay Diaz was there watching his getting his hand wraps. It might be something to do with the design of the gloves. There's this new horse thing glove where it's like looks quite thin. The padding's not as thick as it should be. So it probably looks like you're not wearing a hand wrap or something like that, you know. And I've seen images where it looks like Wilder's had the same thing in the first fight, where, you know, he looks like he's got the same sort of glove issue as Fury had in the second.
Right.
It's not for me to say. I just think that if there was any sort of cheating or whatever, I don't know why it wasn't spotted. If someone's watching you getting your hand wraps, I don't know how he could have done it, but. Yeah, I'm not buying any of the excuses from Wilder, because he's not made one excuse. He's made about 10. And when you do that, and I've even just watched the interview with David Hayes saying something about him having a bad shoulder or something.
Who had a bad shoulder?
Wilder, apparently.
In the second fight.
Yeah, it's what I'm saying.
So he's added another excuse.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that he said. But I think he was just a bit shell-shocked. He didn't, it's hard to deal with being stopped like that, Yeah. And, yeah.
So there's another case of being hard-headed as well now, because he's lost. And, I mean, Mark Breland is probably one of the best amateurs of all time. 1984 Olympics, he was a great Olympic team. He was a great welterweight as well, champion, slick boxer. You'd think, well, having a trainer like that, surely you'd learn how to box like Breland. He was slim and lean and could box. But he's completely trashed him and sacked him and put the blame on him, saying, I can't believe my trainer would throw in a towel and all this kind of thing. But I don't think he had any choice. He was watching.
He didn't look like he was going to come back in that fight.
Yeah,
at all.
So I think Wilder's taken it hard, and you can see now from the bomb squad and all the promos they were doing previously. Now he's putting earmuffs on and and not talking and ignoring Tyson Fury and things. So what you've been watching this week? You've been especially watching all the preview, the face-to-face the other day. What's your psychologically? Your Wilder, you've just lost to Fury. You've also got these allegations going out. How are you feeling? I mean, how do you go into this fight? What are you? Because we always say you have to wait till fight week to really assess who's going to win and see how they're doing mentally. What are your feelings on the fight at the moment with Tyson and Wilder going into tomorrow now? We've seen all the face to face, or not face to face, but the press conference and everything else. How are you feeling? What do you think about Wilder's behaviour and Fury as well? Nervous energy.
You would think that I still think Fury might be a little bit nervous still, because he knows how dangerous Wilder could be any time, any second of any round. Yeah. That Wilder's going to be extra motivated. You got to question how motivated Fury is going to be, because his mind was on the AJ fight, wasn't it? He didn't, he's like, I don't want to prove I have to fight this guy again. I have to prove this hell again. So, and he's already proved that he could beat him. How motivated is he going to be to do it another time? As smart as Fury is and as disciplined as he's been and all that, I think really Fury just wanted the AJ fight, be undisputed, and I think he wants to get out of there, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think he wants to be around boxing for too long.
Okay.
But I just think, I know Wilder's going to be super motivated, but it's just like, for me, I struggle to see how he can make improvements from last time. Especially he's had no fights in between.
But his trainer was talking about going to the body this time, maybe. Do you see any sort of
positive? My problem with that is that, you know, if you haven't shown that you've been able to do that stuff, you know, it's all right doing it in the gym, but you've got to really show it in the fights about how well you could do it and go into body without getting hit, without getting countered. Look how fast Fury is, you know, just like that, you know. So he's got to show it. He probably should have had some tune-up fights, but he didn't have time. It was just like he wanted to prove himself straight away. But I just haven't seen anything. He's had 40-odd fights, Wilder. I haven't seen, no one's seen anything to say, oh, he could do this style of fighting or that style of fighting. You know, with Fury, when he's talking about walking Wilder down, you've seen Fury fight different ways, like throughout his career, haven't you? You know, and that's why I said, you know, jack of all trades, a maverick, because when he first came on the scene, the way he fought McDermott, he was trying to be really entertaining and a brawler and all this, and then you started to see a little bit change. Kevin Johnson, he started to box him.
Good shout.
That one. Even with the Steve Cunningham fight, Cunningham was a bit quick for him. He was boxing, but Cunningham was a bit too quick. But then he walked him down. Yeah. But Fury's got that. And AJ wasn't thinking about, let me walk this guy down. I can't box him the other week against Usyk. But Fury's got that intelligence. He's got the IQ to say, let me change this.
Sorry to interrupt, but it made me laugh when AJ was fighting Ruiz and he got dropped and he was going back to his corner. He was saying, what do I do?
Yeah, he does. He's like
he needs instructions. It's not a natural fight to say, right, let me adapt. Or so it's like, trying to concentrate. But really, he was concussed and he had a lot of issues. That's it.
Trying to smile when he gets knocked down.
But that's what I mean. That's the difference in having the ability to adapt. As say Floyd Mayweather would adapt during the fight and changes.
Look at Ali against Foreman, and you know, this is all him. That's
it's a psychological thing, isn't it? It's a lot of it's mental. When you go into the ring with someone, it takes a lot of. I mean, we can sit here and laugh. I mean, boxing is a brutal sport. It takes a lot to get in the ring. You have to be super fit, and you have to be have the mentality to do it as well. And I know when I've sparred before, if I sparred someone with big muscles or strong, I'm kind of like a bit intimidated. So, you know, even Dad used to say he used to dance like Ali, but really was scared, you know. So it's a tough sport. So I even though we joke and say whatever, you do have to respect anyone that gets into the ring, and we do. It's just that it's rough. Like you see the memes, you see when someone loses. You can see the abuse and thing they get, so it's tough. But for the money you get at the top level, I suppose
it's worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it, you know.
Because no one else on the street has the balls to do it, so it's just.
Well, there you go. So we talked about the build up to the fight. This week we've seen Wilder. He's putting on his headphones. He doesn't want to engage with Fury. To me, that shows a lot of. To me, it's negative on his part. I wouldn't do that. I would be coming out and just being normal and keep it together, you know, like Eddie Murphy and Bowfinger. But Kit, you know, but keep it together and just show, look, you're not intimidating me. Because by doing that, you're basically saying Fury's the best talker. I'm just going to have to ignore him and just try to play the psycho quiet guy or whatever.
It's a tough one. I think he's trying to keep Fury guessing by just being quiet.
Yeah.
And it's that demeanor of being dark, you know, just, you know, because he's trying to make Fury a bit insecure. It's like, what's this guy thinking? He's got a plan. Yeah. But really, I think Wilder's not talking because he can't big up himself because he's going to lose in the argument because of what happened. But
even the other day, he was saying, you didn't knock me out. And saying, why did you knock you out?
But that's what I'm saying. You can't run up your mouth. That's it. You're busting my up when he knocked you out last time. So it's one of those ones, you know. I think he's doing the right thing by just keeping quiet and just because that sort of demeanor is keeping your man thinking like, what's he got planned, you know?
So what I'm going to
do, the trainers, I think psychologically, you know, Malik Scott saying, you know, he admires Fury's trainer and so it's a war with them as well, psychological battle.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read a few comments because we've got a few guys chipping in, and then we're going to talk about the ways to win, and then we're going to make our own prediction. about this fight coming up. So just going back to the top, we got Solo saying big up Monday. He's left you out there, Kahinde. He's left you hanging. Hold on a minute. Oh no, it's Mr. B. Mr. B saved us. Big up Monday, big up Kahinde from Mr. B.
Yeah, HI.
If you don't know, we're from the Man United Agenda. Mr. B had his show on tonight, really funny, with him and Talk MU. They were discussing Man United, but we're doing boxing now. We're also doing boxing. We're a jack of all trades, aren't we, guys? So Solo's saying, I believe Wilder will upset the odds tomorrow night. Doesn't give us a reason why, Solo. Any reason why you think that would happen? Devils United, Maisie. How you doing, Maisie? Big up on Monday, she says. And she says, Maisie, you're from Manchester, so no doubt I'm going with Tyson Fury win tomorrow, she says. And obviously, Dre is in the house. He said Wilder has a puncher's chance, but Fury will school him, in his opinion. Big up, bros. Anthony Herbert, Arsenal fan. How you doing, Anthony, man? He says Tyson will win hands down, but with AJ, that's the fight that will never happen. Right. Do we need to see that now? Is that...
Well, it depends what AJ could do. In
lost its edge, hasn't it?
He has lost his edge. Like maybe you lose the fight in between.
Anthony again says they did their weigh-in tonight. Fury's the same weight. That brings him his A game. There you go. It's 19 stone. And Wilder's, I mean, in the first fight, Wilder was 15 stone, really light. But I think he's 16 stone now. He's got up a bit. He's got to put a bit of mass.
Yeah.
Anthony Herbert says AJ was slow in the last fight. You can tell his posture, stamina, and movement wasn't right. I don't think he's ever been right. He's never been fast, in my opinion.
He looks a lot leaner, and what was the reason for that? Well, because he was blowing out.
Yeah, he's blowing. He's blowing against a guy who can faint them out. And Anthony says we should have fight between Mr. B and Fred from United. That would be good, actually. Should we send out? Yeah. Should we plug that one? All right, thanks for the comments, guys. Yeah, so all right, ways to win. All right. Let's talk about Wilder. How does he win his fight? I'll go first. I think if Wilder, I'm not saying he will win the fight, but if Wilder wants to win the fight, I think he needs to sort of box a bit more, use his jab as a rangefinder. Fury's going to be, because Fury does a lot of feints and feints. So what I think Wilder needs to do is just sort of doesn't just pivot, just use his jab as a rangefinder, not as the big punch, and then touch, and move. And show a bit of skill and maybe fight a little bit from long range and mix it up. But threaten, like in the first fight, he threatened him, said, you come inside, bam, or something like that. But you can't let Fury walk him down. That's the main thing. So I would be finding my range, touch, throwing a few left hooks to the body, touch, and just move. You're the lighter man. Try and box a little bit, as much as you can. And then when Fury comes in and tries to tie you up, don't fight it. Just let him move you around. There's no point in fighting it because you get tired, but try and touch him up, touch, go to the body, like hook to the body and touch, and don't like telegraph your right hand, but try and set him up differently because he's like, like a Rocky film. Just set him up, bam, mix it up, show him something different. So jab to the body. And so Fury, bring it down, and then go up. Like you say, how you caught him in the 12th round of the first fight. So I think Wilder needs to be selective and mix up his punches, range, find his range. He's got a good reach. He's just as tall as Fury, and just go for a few rounds, knowing he's got a puncher's chance. And like he did in the first fight, if he can keep Fury off him by warning him, he could rounds could be close, and don't let him walk you down. That's the main thing. And jab to the body as well. Right hand to the body. Keep hitting him to the body, and then eventually, once or twice, mix it up because he's too much of a headhunter most of the time. Otherwise, that's the only thing I can really suggest for Wilder. What do you think for Wilder? If you're his trainer, how are you going to get him to strategize?
What you said about Wilder is not anything too different that I've seen him do in the past because he usually does leave his jab as a rangefinder and he uses it to block the person's vision and then comes over with a right.
Yeah.
I think the issue for me is with Wilder, like when Fury's coming in as an aggressive guy, Fury's good at really telegraphing the jab and obviously doing those feints.
Yeah.
So it's tough for him. So like you say, maybe Wilder should try, and if he does try and come in, go for the body, go down for the body, go inside like him, and then tie him up and go down, try and hit him to the body. Maybe some different strategy like that. I think that whole thing with the rangefinder jab, it's not going to work for him. I mean, Fury's very good at telegraphing these punches and slipping. You know, I think he's got to go to the body more and try and a bit more lateral movement. You know,
give it,
you know, yeah.
Rather than wasting energy, moving, just turn, pivot.
You can't fight going backwards, but give Fury a bit more angles.
Yeah.
You know, he's got to be better on his feet, because I was listening to Malik Scott and he's saying that not only is he trained Wilder for how Fury fought last time, but he's trained him like how Fury fights before, you know, because Fury could come up with anything, you know. I know Fury's trainer seems to be very set on this is what I do, and you see the way he talks, it's very like straight up and down. You know, he doesn't give much away. Just I've trained for the knockout and all that. It's not going to be like anything different. But the complexion of the fight could change if it goes the distance. Someone might have to make an adjustment. We don't know. But I think that's, like I said, the only thing that I would say to Wilder is go to the body a bit more and just try a bit more lateral movement, you know.
So we've got Andy Herbert here. For Wilder, he's saying Wilder needs to slip in 2 to 3 jabs back to use his block, see a weakness, and then use it. Okay, so did you understand that? Yeah, so he's saying slip in 2-3 jabs back, slip 2-3 jabs back, use his block so it's not to get caught, and if he sees a weakness, then exploit it, that kind of thing. And also he's saying here, but with Fury, okay, we're going to go into Fury now, but with Fury, he comes in all guns blazing, get knocked down, and get up like the Undertaker from WWE. And I say it's just it's just a touch of sleep, like he said for the last match. Sorry. Okay, so let's go to Fury. Ways to win. Do you want to start us off? What's the way your Fury's trainer? What's his way to win in this fight now?
Well, I think he had a lot of success doing what he did the last time.
Yeah.
The only issue is, because I'm not a proper boxing trainer like Malik Scott and all that, we don't know what Malik Scott has trained for what Fury's did last time. You know, what is Malik Scott's strategy for, against that sort of aggressive come forward style. But I would say with Fury, I think he's got the intelligence enough to, he'll do what worked for him the last time, but if he thinks something's not working, he's got that intelligence to adapt.
Yeah.
And he could win 2 ways. He could win by outboxing him, or just, or going forward. So he's been successful. They fought however many rounds, like 18 rounds or whatever.
90, 18, 19.
Yeah, you say Fury's won the majority of them.
Yeah.
So you don't need to give him much advice. You wouldn't say, he's been very successful with what he's doing.
Okay. I would say with Fury, I think I don't think he walks him down aggressively. I thought it's intelligently the way he walks him down.
Yeah.
It's done with feints, and he comes inside. He knows he's felt the power, so I think he knows he can't just walk in like that. But when he does get inside, he holds and he moves, and he's got better infighting skills. That was evident in the last fight, the second fight which he won. When he was inside, he was able to rough him up and get punches off in the inside. Wilder seemed a bit lost in that respect. And he was holding him head, and he might get a point deducted or whatever, but that really weighs the guy down, especially when you haven't got strong foundation with his legs like that, like Wilder has. I think Fury's going to not dive in this time. He's going to assess it and see what's different here, because I do think with the power, I think Fury could rush out there like he did with Stavern, for example, and try to blaze him out there, or whatever. It could blow his load, who knows? But I think Fury's got to be patient. Assess it and dominate, control the fight, be the ring general in there by stepping, like controlling it. You can sort of feint him out like he's done so many times previously, and just start to gauge who you got in front of you this time, and just be careful of the right hand. I mean, that's the one weapon he's got. But I think what you said earlier, I think Fury, Wilder's trainer, as I've seen them in the drills they've been doing, is like they've been doing left hooks to the body, a lot of body, like it looks like they're going to go for the body this time to try to bring something different. So if I was Fury, being the favorite after what happened last time, I'd take my time, be patient with it, dominate the fight, be the ring general in there, back him off, which is, like you said, is the most important thing, get him on the back foot, and then just outscore him, and then you wait until you feel psychologically
Yeah.
you've got the edge on him this time.
Because this is the thing, he's the champion now. Wilder's got to come to him with something.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have to be chasing the fight or prove anything. And like you say, yeah, he could just assess it, but he's still trying to do the same thing, but just a bit more cautiously. He's just got to be cautious. But I'm confident that even if he gets knocked down, he'll get back up.
So in that case, then we're going to go to predictions now for this fight. It seems like you're all for Fury, judging by what you're saying, confident he can get up and what's happened last time. So what is your prediction for the fight tomorrow?
I'm going to go Fury unanimous decision.
Oh, so you think it's going to go to points?
Yeah, I think this time, because I feel like the element of surprise has gone. I don't know what Wilder and Malik's got plans, but they've obviously been working on some strategy. So I think this time Wilder won't get stopped, and then Malik Scott's not going to throw in the towel like the other guy. Yeah.
He won't throw in the towel, but he'll take a dive.
Yeah.
If anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, go and watch Malik Scott against Deontay Wilder. so what are you saying?
Yeah, it's what I'm saying. The element of surprise is gone. So I think Fury's just gonna, Wilder has to take the fight to him, and I think if you're aggressive against Fury, it's not gonna work well for you. Okay. And I just think Fury's got too much IQ there to avoid getting knocked out and outbox him. So I Fury get a comfortable decision.
Would your decision have changed if you would have seen something different in the build up to this fight this week?
No, not really. No.
Okay. So I'm with you. I think it's going to go the distance. Like a lot of these fights do. They know each other well. They know what to avoid. I don't think Wilder wants to get stopped again. He keeps saying that he can't punch. He was stopped on his feet and what kind of thing. So I think Wilder might go the distance this time, and I think Fury might take it on points, unless there's knockdowns. Because knockdowns mean a lot. It's 2 rounds, it's 10-8s. It means a lot. As we saw, he won 2 rounds. People say he won 2 rounds and got a draw from 2 knockdowns. Which 10-8, 10-8. So I think it's going to go the distance. I don't think anyone's going to get knocked out this time, and I'm just interested to see. I'm really intrigued to see this. This fight, and I think it's been good. Look, we've gone 52 minutes talking about the background, the build-up, the heavyweight scene, and the fight. And it's good. It's a good card as well. There's good undercard. You've got the Polish guy, the American Polish guy, Kowalski. What's his name? Who lost to?
Kowalski.
Yeah, he lost to the Viking.
He's fighting Hellenius again.
So they have a rematch
as well. I've put Hellenius to win.
You reckon? You reckon he'll win again?
Yeah, because I just don't see what Kowalski can do. I hope Hellenius is fit. If Hellenius is fit, then he should win again. But I'm not sure.
I reckon the Polish guy, I can't pronounce his name. Sorry. I think he's going to win.
Well, we'll see. I'll win money.
I think there's more money in the Polish American New York guy.
Yeah, the Polish guy's favorite, so that's why I bet on the other guy. I think he could stop him again.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen this time. I think the Polish guy is going to win. He was very close. I mean, they're billing him up. There's a lot of money in him, a lot of backing. He was close to getting a title shot previously before he lost the fight. So I think he's going to have a different strategy because he was a bit wild before, and he learned. Hellenius can punch real hard.
They'll give it to him. You think?
Yeah, and then you got Edgy, who's the Nigerian nightmare guy, the tall Nigerian Edgy fighting. Oh God, the Latino. I can't remember his name now. Sorry, it's gone by. But it's a good build. It's a good some good undercard fights. Edgy, the Nigerian guy, the tall Nigerian guy, looks a bit like Wilder, especially now he's got his little curly locks.
Yeah. I forget his name as well.
Yeah. Oh God, I should have done my homework. And he's fighting another Sanchez, I think his name is, or Martinez, a black sort of Dominican or Puerto Rican guy, Frank Suarez, or I don't know, I forget what his name is. So I'm looking forward to it. I really want to watch the whole card. I think it's going to be good. And it's finishing up, obviously, with Tyson Fury against Wilder. So who knows what's going to end up happening. One thing I will say is that they both Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury is like they've got fictional names, boxing names,
Yeah.
which is a bit questionable to me. I've
Well,
always said
Fury was named after Mike Tyson, so you can't say that's.
well. Still, you know what I'm like.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it's an interesting fight. Let's show. Maybe we do like a post-match review, depending on how the fight goes. But it's been really great.
As well.
I mean, this is the first ever boxing stream that we've done on FTB Sports Boxing, and I think it went really well. We could talk boxing all day, can't you? It's one of those sports where you can talk it all day. We love the sport, we respect the fighters, and we just hope for a clean, fair fight come the weekend. So I'm back in Fury, you're back in Fury. I don't know what everyone else watching is saying, but hopefully you all going to tune in and watch the fight, and may the best man win, as they say. So I don't know anything else left to say, bro.
Nah, I think we covered everything really.
We covered up things. Yeah. And Andy Herbert's back in Fury as well as Los Della, Dre, and Maisie. And I don't know, Solo's saying Solo's.
He said he's back in Wilder. David Hayes said Wilder's going to win.
Well, there you go. Maybe the fix is in. Who knows? Maybe they're going to have a fourth fight. I don't know. But at this stage, yeah, it's looking like maybe Fury might take it on points, we say. Both of us are saying points. But that's the thing with boxing. You never know what's going to happen. One punch, especially with Wilder, as Dre said, it's lights out. So, and on that note, lights out. It's our lights out from us as well. So thanks for tuning in, guys. This has been Monday Juma and Kahinde. And we've brought you the first ever FTB Sports boxing live stream, and many more to come. So God bless, guys, and we'll see you on the other side. Later.